First off, thank you for coming. I'm the team leader and the owner of Brown Home Group, and I'm fortunate to have an amazing supporting cast that you're going to get to meet throughout the presentation. So, kind of like to start so far is, what did you come here today? Obviously, it's probably to figure out the process and what have you, but I want to make sure that we hit all the points. And if there's anything that you came, like questions that you might have, I'd love to just have you guys shout it out. We'll put them on the board, and we'll make sure that we cover them if, for whatever reason, they're not in this presentation right now. So just to like show of hands, I mean, do you guys have any questions? Like that you want to make sure we cover? Nobody speak at once. Yeah.
The first-time home buying experience, what they offer for first-time loans and whatnot.
Okay,
And the
great.
variations that.
You're going to hear that from one of our preferred lenders who's going to come up here in a little bit and talk about that. Anything else that we want to talk about? I'm fortunate, like I said, to have a supporting cast here today. We have a preferred lender, we have a home inspector, we have a home insurance company, and we have a home warranty company. So pretty much all the aspects of what you're going to need in the buying process. About the only person that we don't have, and I know Nick will be able to kind of touch on it, is a title company, which is used during the process. Up north and in some other states, they use attorneys. Here, we primarily use a title company that actually is a neutral party. So, and I know Nick will, I don't want to take his
Still my thunder now.
thunder. I won't do it, I won't do it. So we'll go ahead and dive in. So, like I said, I'm fortunate to be surrounded by an incredible team. I think some of the agents here invited you guys here. I know I see some familiar faces, so thank you for coming. I'm fortunate to have 7 buyer agents and 3 administration staff on my team. Most of my agents are buyer agents that also list. So if you're here and you do potentially have a home to sell, we can definitely help you with the selling side. Today we're going to primarily focus on the buying side, which obviously is why you're here. So our team is a 5-star customer service team, and what our client goals are: educate you. Obviously that's why you're here, right? We're wanting to have you be the most educated buyer out there in the market. So not only the process is easier, but it's more familiar, especially being a first-time home buyer, right? And kind of maneuvering through the whole steps in the process. Best price possible. Obviously, when you align yourself with a buyer's agent, the goal is to get you the best price possible. As we always like to say, is beat the seller up on price, right? And by having a powerful negotiator as a buyer's agent, that's exactly why you have us on your side. And then time frame. We always say the MAN method: motivation, ability, and need. Okay? What's the motivation? Why are you looking to buy right now? The ability. Do you have the ability to buy right now? Right? And this is again why you have preferred lenders that can help you with that. And then the need. What things do you need when buying a home? Do you need a pool or do you want a pool? Do you need a backyard? Do you want a backyard? So pricing of that, if you have a big dog, you need a backyard, right? Not that you want one, you need one. So, and then the last thing is fewest hassles. It's frustrating, guys, to buy a home, whether it's a new buyer or you bought a home before. And there are things that are going to go through the process that you're going to be thankful to have us on your side. We like to say that we're your co-pilot. You're driving the car. You're driving this process. You're making things happen, and we're just going to maneuver and help you get there, okay? So what is our process? The action steps of purchasing a home. Well, first and foremost, we need to understand the market, right? Right now, where the market is, and we're going to get into that, it's really just booming. Right now, it's a great market for sellers. What does that mean for you as a buyer? Not so much. However, median market price is about $227. So in that price range, there are a lot of buyers out there. When you go a little higher in price point, obviously the demand will decrease. Getting with a lender. This is a key factor. I mean, before we even wanna really take you out, even though we will, you really wanna be speaking to a preferred lender, somebody that's gonna have the options available to you, the different programs that we're gonna talk about. What do they offer? What can they give you? What will you need to bring to the table? Things of that nature. And then obviously the benefits of a buyer agent. We wanna understand the benefits of working with a buyer agent like ourselves and what's different about other realtors. I will tell you that, and I can speak on behalf of my entire team, we're 24/7, literally. I actually showed properties the day I got married. So you want that in your corner. I'm not saying I'm gonna get married again. But you want that in your corner. I show properties on Christmas Day. I mean, these guys, I know, this is our passion, this is what we do. So who you're working with on my team, I can guarantee you, is gonna be definitely in your corner and available to you 24/7. We do have cell phones, we have a direct line. This is what you're looking for. You need that, obviously, especially with the way the market is. Because it is so fast paced and it is moving quickly, houses are going pending. We need to be in front of the market. Buyer's Advantage Program. So a Buyer's Advantage Program is primarily making sure that you see everything that's out there as quickly as it goes on the market, right? And you get that information in front of you. What I will tell you, a little secret, Buyer's Advantage Program is actually our MLS search in real estate world. So we can set you up on that, and immediately you start seeing it. And I think people that are here with me, you've already been seeing the properties as they come through. As soon as there's 0 days on the market, you get notified. You'll be able to see the home based on a criteria search that you discussed with your agent and said, look, I'm looking for these criterias, and this is the price point, this is the location, and here's what I'm looking for. Sometimes we pull up a Buyer's Advantage Program, and unfortunately, we get nothing. So what I wanna do right now is go ahead and show you what that looks like. So this is our MLS. It's what we call our Bible of real estate. As a realtor, we're able to access over 5,000 homes that are actively on the market, pending, or literally sold, right? So we can actually go through this and break down a criteria. So I'm just gonna be volunteer if I could. You came here, you're a first time home buyer.
Yes.
Where are you looking at?
Titusville, Brevard County.
Okay, so Titusville. So go ahead and let's plug in under, so hit this little, the little magnifying glass. Type in Titusville. So if you notice down here, guys, I don't know if you can see it, it says 5,000 plus matches. Okay, as soon as we plug in add, you didn't do it. Okay, no, highlight all that. And then add it, there you go, now hit OK. Is it thinking or what? Yeah, there we go. So we drop down to 32 matches, okay? So obviously that tells us we're only looking at active properties, right? Obviously you don't want to look at anything that's pending or sold. And what are you looking for?
In terms of
Bedroom sizes.
probably.
What do you want a minimum of?
3 bedroom, 2 bath.
Okay, so we're gonna plug in 3 plus. So obviously it'd be great if we get 4, right? But we need at least a minimum of, so now we drop down to 10. Okay? What's the budget?
Looking around 200.
Okay, so let's do 175 to 210. Like I said, we're gonna beat the seller up on price, right? What do we drop down to? It's making your decision a lot easier. So here's where it breaks down so far as criteria. You want a pool? No pool? Don't want one. If it was there, would you love it? Okay, so that's gonna ask, right? So now we're gonna say no pool.
You bring it over to my house, I'll take it.
So we drop it down to 4. Okay. Square footage can depend based on budget, right? So if you're looking at under 2,000 square feet, good. But if you want something more than 2,000 square feet, under 200,000 in Titusville, we're gonna struggle, and I can guarantee that it'll go to 0. So let's just leave it the way it is, right? And then go ahead and hit results. So we've got 4 properties sitting in Titusville. current price is what they're listed for, right? Single families, you got year built. Most of the homes in Titusville are gonna be an older home. Obviously, we've got a home inspector here who's gonna make sure that a home built in 1960, you got a lot of issues there that could potentially arise. We're gonna make sure that's not the case, right? You have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you got 3 of those, and you have one that's 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Here's your square foot. I don't know if that is appealing to you, under 15, under
It's
16.
fair for the price range.
Okay, good. So as your agent, we're now gonna click on all 4 of those. We're gonna go down here and hit save. And we're gonna say new auto email. And we're gonna create a contact, because I don't have one. And put Nick, or should I put her? Probably
Put
her.
her.
Yeah?
I mean, if you wanna put
Is
her.
she making the decision?
Mm.
Let's be
It's
careful.
a joint decision.
It's a joint
In
decision.
theory.
That's what he thinks, right?
Check your email on a regular
Yeah.
basis, that's what you really.
Right.
And then
Don't send her
G-A-O-R.
email.
A-A-O-R.
G-A-O-R.
Okay, and then what's the best email?
Ngor19,
N.
G-A-O-19, @gmail.
Okay, and then save. And then just put in here new properties Titusville. Okay, and then this actually tells you how the process is actually gonna come to you, and it's gonna give you 3 choices. It's gonna give you a heart, a light bulb, and a trash can. I think some of you guys are already seeing that, and some of you guys are working really well with it. Obviously, the heart is the ones that, as your agent, we really are gonna pay attention to. That means you love it, you wanna see it tomorrow, right, or today, for that matter. The light bulb, you wanna think about it. You like it, but we're not 100%, right? And if we have hearts over light bulbs, those are gonna take precedent. Trash can, obviously, get rid of it. We're not looking at it, we don't care, no matter what. So we're gonna go all the way down. We're gonna put on ASAP. ASAP is gonna give you the email immediately as soon as the property hits the market. So as soon as something goes 0 days and a listing agent pops it up there and it meets 3 bedrooms or more, Titusville, no pool, all that criteria that you wanted, it's gonna send you an alert. So go ahead and hit save. There. So if you check your phone, you'll be getting an email from MLS Matrix that says, here are those 4 properties, okay? Now if we dive in and we click on the first one, it's coming, just give it a second. All right, so this is what we consider our MLS, and this is an MLS sheet. And I know some of you, I've taken you out already, and we've seen, I think other agents here have seen, but just to give you an idea, Nick, since you haven't seen, the way this is set up, here's your list price, this is the list date, but you wanna pay attention to ADOM, which is adjusted days on the market, okay? Adjusted days on the market means what it is right now. However, CDOM is what we really pay attention as a realtor. That's cumulative days on the market, okay? So if for whatever reason, the seller decided to take it down and bring it back up, unless they do it in 90 days, the clock won't start over. But if they do it before the 90 days, we can tell when it comes back on the market, and the total number of days is what we're paying attention to. Why is that? The longer it's on the days of the market, we can beat them up even more, okay? So what I mean by that is, obviously, if we see 1, do you think as a seller, they're gonna be willing to drop price?
No.
Very rarely, right? And we'll talk about the market and the seller demand and all that good stuff, but, so you're gonna pay attention to that. Obviously, I think you're built, GoPro,
Yes, sir.
you got a lot of issues, copper piping, and I know I don't wanna take his thunder, but built before 78, you got lead-based paint, all this other stuff that we'll talk about. So, most of these homes, they'll probably updated, they've been repainted, they've probably been repiped and all that good stuff. As your agent, that's what we're gonna be looking for. We're gonna be paying attention to that through the seller's disclosure. Yes?
Does this database have like the HOA fees and stuff?
Yes,
associated with it?
absolutely, and that's a good point. So, go back up. So we'll work from top to bottom. So again, look at the price. Obviously, we wanna make sure the bedrooms are there. Then we're gonna slide over here, and we wanna look at the taxes. right? Taxes are important, primarily because homes that are owned, you have homestead, right? As a primary resident, you can have a homestead on your home. It's $25,000 of the purchase price per individual living in the home. Yes? So this actually does have homestead, right? So you'll actually take advantage of that homestead for the whole entire rest of this year. If we were to find a home, which we will, find a home and you close, you would actually file for homestead next March, before next March, okay? However, if this would have said no, you don't get homestead. So you have to carry that tax all the way through until March, and we'll make sure that you do file homestead. So you do get the benefit, okay? So you each get 25, so you get 50,000 total. Unless you're in the military, there are different benefits that you can get, some up to 100%. I don't know if I'm stealing your thunder on that one.
I wasn't gonna touch on that, no, but you're right,
Okay.
if you're a fully disabled vet.
Yeah, and
you
please, if I'm
100%.
saying anything that's wrong, I don't usually.
What is it?
Just kidding. Just kidding, just kidding. Alright, so taxes are important, right? We also wanna pay attention in some of the neighborhoods, we have something called a CDD. CDD is a commutative disbursement development. It's a fee, it's a capital contribution that you have to pay. Usually it's per year. Sometimes it's rolled into the taxes. As your agent, our responsibility is to make sure we see it that's broken down that way. If it's not, then you would be charged that per year. I think it's, somebody wanna help me out, it's like 20 years or something that this development was paid. Some developer bought the land, and he's saying, look, if you wanna build on my property, or build a property on my land, you're gonna pay me every year, and it's something like 20 years, okay? You're gonna find this a lot in places like Lake Nona. Stony Brook has a capital contribution, it's only $1,600 for the year, or sorry, one time.
It's a one-time,
Initial,
Yeah, it's a one-time fee. So we're gonna look at that, and then, when you scroll down, or scroll up, I should say, you'll kind of pay attention to some of this stuff. Obviously, if you don't want septic, you'll wanna pay attention to see if that's a septic. I will tell you that a lot of Titusville, you'll be sitting on a septic tank. But again, with an inspector, you can be covered. Room sizes, obviously could be important depending on how big you want your master bedroom. And then when you scroll down, you can see here, HOA fees, which there are none. So if they were, you'd see either monthly, quarterly, yearly, and in this case, none. So you don't have any of that, okay? Any questions about the MLS? No? Alright, cool.
What does it stand for?
What?
What does it stand for?
Multiple listing service. Uh-huh.
It's not Major League Soccer.
It's not Major League Soccer. Yeah, that's right, it could be, right. Alright, so you want to switch back? Okay, so then,
I got a question for you, Rick. I think it'd be
What?
helpful for everybody here.
yes.
So I have an agent, right? You're my agent. Just because I'm looking online on Zillow doesn't necessarily, Realtor.com doesn't necessarily mean that if it's on the MLS, it's going to be on there as well, right? I might be missing out on opportunity without working with an agent who has MLS. Is that correct?
Very true, yes, so I think what Nick is getting at here is, you know, we will send you those properties, but if you decide you wanna continue to look in Realtor.com or Zillow, they tend to not update fast enough. A lot of those properties will already be gone, sometimes 6 months off the market. So you wanna definitely be working with your agent, make sure that they're setting you up on their Buyer's Advantage program, cause our properties update every 48 hours, so you'll actually get the most accurate, active properties out there. If you choose, say that, Realtor.com, or Zillow, or any of those other 720 websites that are out there. All I ask is that once you start working with your agent, that you just send them the address. Let them do the information gathering, check the seller's disclosure. Obviously, we don't wanna be looking at a property that the roof is 25 years old and needs to be replaced, or it has polybutylene piping, which I know, Alberto's gonna speak about. But there's some things there that can be really costly, not just in the inspection side, but we have Edwin Wassinger here with We Insure, that he won't insure you. Or he will, but it's gonna cost you, right?
We can talk about that.
We can talk about it.
Hey, Rick,
So,
if I could just jump in,
Yeah.
there's a lot of misinformation on the sites too that come from scammers, so you can spend a lot of your time looking at information that's not accurate, and your realtor's got the good stuff.
absolutely, we got the good stuff. Like, thank you, Donna. Donna's with 210 warranty, so she's gonna get up and talk to you about that as well, to protect her. So offer negotiating, obviously this can be frustrating. Like I said, based on the buying purchase price, can be a lot more frustrating, so. And then closing, this is where we'll celebrate, we'll get you to that closing table. And with all of my supporting cast, we're gonna be able to do that in a timely fashion, and where we'll be able to celebrate, and you won't be killing us. So I'm gonna play a video real quick, and this is about the market right now as we see for the month of December. So, if you wanna play that? You wanna turn it up? No.
During the month of December, Orlando's housing market saw a massive increase in
Water's over there.
sales, along with a strong increase in median price. However, the number of homes available for purchase in Orlando continued its downward path. A total of 3,020 homes sold during the month, a tally that is 25% more than the 2,422 sales in December 2018. The median price of an Orlando home sold in December was $249,700,
What's up?
which is an 8% increase compared to December 2018. Would-be buyers continue to be challenged by the limited number of homes available for sale in Orlando. Compared to December 2018, the number of homes on the market decreased by 11%. There are 7,023 properties currently listed for sale. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or rent, contact a realtor today so you can get moving.
Okay. You wanna put me back? Should, oh, yeah. So this is called Market Pulse. This is kind of something that we use as realtors when we're trying to figure out the pulse of the market, which is why it's called that. So if you look here, you can see 2017, 2018, 2019. If you look at total inventory, you can see that it's down 800 something homes, yeah? What we're showing in, where is it? Sales closed. So 2,422 in 2018, we're at 3,020 in 2019. However, when you look at the number of homes on the market, it's lower, so obviously the demand is gonna be higher, which obviously means the seller has the upper hand in most cases when it comes to low inventory. Does anybody have a question what I just said? Because I just confused myself. No? Okay. Does anybody have questions about the market pulse? And I see Corey over here looking.
I was just looking to see if they were cumulative numbers, but they're per month.
Yeah. So these are per month, so,
Yeah.
yeah. So obviously, January numbers haven't probably come out yet, otherwise I would have it. But we always look at, like, new listings. We start to see a trend, so far as this will start to go up. More sales, more sellers are gonna start putting their house on the market. Anybody know why you would probably try to put your house on the market now versus waiting? Nobody?
Versus
Put people in for school.
100%. So yeah, so most of your buyers are out there now trying to get into their next home, and they're looking before school starts in August. So primary, we're kind of a seasonality in Florida, and we're kind of doing this number. So the best time really to sell a home is between March and July. You can kind of give or take, February. Everybody's like, I want to get mine on the market before everybody in March, so they start to put them on February. So theoretically, between March and July, it's not the best time to buy, right? Unless you can find the right property. Right now, with February, January, December, November, those are probably the best time to buy, okay? And obviously, unless you find the right home and pushes all the buttons, and you're willing to pay what the seller's willing to offer, or price, that's the best time to buy. So, when we look, and I kind of tapped into this, the average list price to sales price ratio is about 97% of ask. So when you talk to your agent and we're talking about pricing, that's kind of where we're at right now because it is a high demand on the seller side. So when inventory is down, demand goes up, and obviously when demand goes up, prices go up. Seller's market versus a buyer's market. So right now it is still very strong in the seller's market. That being said,
That's me.
I'm gonna go ahead and bring up, Nick Vargas, who is with Home First Lending, and one of our preferred lenders. And I will pass the torch. You just push that, push the button. To the right.
The right arrow?
You got it. Hey, everybody, afternoon. I'm Nick. How's it going?
Everybody's leaving.
Alright, so I'm Nick with Home First Lending. I am,
Get a little
Rick's,
bit closer in so you're on the screen.
there we are. I am, one of Rick's preferred lenders, and I assist their clients with their financing needs, okay? Been in the business about, 9 or 10 years or so. Have a background in the processing side prior to getting into the license origination activity. So I have a good, well-rounded knowledge of kind of the process and how to get you from start to finish, okay? But I'll walk you guys through a couple of different, typical things or typical questions people would ask and go through the process, different products, and kind of what to expect, okay? Alright, I have quite a few slides, so I'm gonna try to work my way through it, and then we're gonna fit everybody in, right?
Yeah, we will.
You got it. Alright, cool. So real quick, I just wanna share our mission statement and our values. So our mission statement is to be the hometown lender, providing you the service you deserve with the speed you desire. What we mean by hometown lender is we're a family-owned broker shop. We're actually a hybrid model, so we can lend our own money, or we can broker money to 54 different lending institutions. What that means for you guys is that we can tailor fit a loan that best suits your needs by shopping with all of those 54 different institutions without running your credit 54 different times. We process it once, unlike when you're buying a car and they run your credit with 15 different banks. We essentially can lend our own money, so we run it and we shop it for you, okay? And then these are our core values over here. Do the right thing as our number one core value, exceptional communication, extreme ownership, celebrate each other, provide solutions, stand together as one, improve every day, and then don't compete, dominate, because we're gonna terrorize the market and destroy everybody else. Alright, cool. So I'll jump into pre-qualification and pre-approval. This is kind of what Rick touched on when he was talking about before going out to look at properties. It's important that you get pre-qualified or pre-approved because you want to know what you're comfortable paying, what price range you can afford to be in, or maybe if you can afford to go above what you're looking at, or you want to spend beneath to make sure the payment is comfortable for your budget, okay? And then with this, we'll provide it to your realtor, of course, and they'll be able to structure your search based on that data, okay? So, first, most important thing, really, credit, okay? Super important, okay? With credit, we can essentially go down to a 580 credit score, okay, to get you financing for a first-time home buyer product, which is known as FHA. That's typically your first-time home buyer loan, okay? And so as far as credit goes, what kind of plays a role regarding credit is, of course, the type of loan and rate that you're going to get. So any interest rate would be driven by your credit score, as well as the product we're looking to fit you into, okay? So depending on that is how we'll tailor fit what loan we're gonna fit you in, all right? As far as foreclosure, short sales, or bankruptcies, if you have a history of having any of those, if you've owned a home in the past, it could affect what program you put you into because they have different waiting periods, okay? So we'll go through those things as well at that time of pre-approval and gathering your information. And then of course, if you have any collections or charge-offs or student loans, it will drive you either your debt up, or if it's something like a medical collection, for example, it's not counted against you, it won't play a factor at all, okay? So it really depends. Do you have a question? No? Okay. Anybody have questions so far? I know I talk fast, so. Good? Okay, cool. All right, so down payment. So with conventional loan can be used for 3 different things actually. A primary home, vacation home, or an investment property, okay? If you're buying for a primary home and it's your first time, you can do as little as 3% down through conventional. Years ago, it used to be 5%. So it's gone down a bit, and they come out with a first-time home buyer product within conventional, okay? FHA is your standard or typical first-time home buyer product, has lower interest rates, and used to be a lower down payment, not any longer. But they both have what's called PMI or mortgage insurance. Anybody heard that term before? PMI or mortgage insurance? So conventional also has PMI and mortgage insurance. The difference is conventional mortgage insurance is driven by your credit and driven by your down payment, okay? Whereas FHA is a set percentage, no matter what your credit is, and no matter what the essentially the down payment is, it can adjust slightly, but it's a set amount, okay?
Conventional mortgage insurance will fall off when you have a certain amount of equity. Does anybody know how much equity you gotta have to get your PMI off by chance?
20%.
20%. So if you put 20% down from the beginning, you have none. If you start out with mortgage insurance, actually 22%, it'll fall off. Okay? With FHA, does anybody know how much equity you gotta have for that? Any guesses?
20.
No?
25.
Trick question. It never goes up. That's permanent. So that's one of the things we'll want to play a factor into deciding your financing. Okay. And then VA is for your veterans. 0% down. A veteran could have more than one VA loan. It's a typical question we get. Yes, you can have more than one VA loan. You have an amount of entitlement that the VA grants you. How many veterans in here? Right? Yeah. All right, cool. So, and then as far as down payment assistance, I heard you mention earlier, or any kind of county grants. So you have down payment assistance programs through most counties, okay? Osceola, Lake, Orange County, and then within the lender themselves, typically will have some kind of grant product or some kind of first-time home buyer. You give us to satisfy those conditions, we get a final approval, and then you close. Okay, at that point, you get your keys, take a nice picture with Rick, and you're all set. All right?
Question for you.
Yeah.
The pre-approval, does that A involve a hard hit, and B, does it expire?
Great question. So it does involve a hard inquiry in your credit. Okay, the only way they pull all 3 scores and your full report, it would be to do the hard inquiry. It does expire in 75 days. Okay? Great question. Thank you. Yes?
Where in this process is the highest rate of failure when it comes to
Getting financing?
Well, I mean, in all the steps that you wrote down,
Yep.
where do you have the most failures where something goes through because, oh, we couldn't get the loan approved, or?
Great question. I would say probably appraisal. If a home under appraises and both parties are not willing to renegotiate and come to terms, that can typically cause a deal to fall apart. Or inspection. If you have an inspection and you're not happy with the condition of the home or certain repairs that are maybe needed, and the seller's not willing to fix them, and you guys are like, you know what, we're not going to proceed. That's usually where the most fallout is. Very rarely is there a fallout in once it gets conditionally approved. Usually it goes through unless there's something that wasn't provided to us or shared with us that because the banks are going to do background checks essentially, not like about the history of your life, but they're going to look for things like, is your name tied to another property? Do you have any outstanding loans you didn't mention to us? And they will find it. So things like that, which could drive up your debt to income ratio if it wasn't mentioned, or reporting on your credit and things like that. Yep, a great question. Did you have a question as well?
Yeah, I have a question about credit inquiries.
Sure.
I'm having a problem with, I have fraud on my account,
Okay.
but I'm still seeing inquiries on my account. So how do I get those off? I still have to write
The credit bureaus.
and have them taken off.
You got it. You have to contact them directly. Yep.
And I have copies of, my 3 credit reports
Mm-hmm.
that I got back in November.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be, sufficient to use, or you still have to pull?
We'd have to pull from our own software. So any lender, basically, when we pull your credit, it gives us the other data aside from just your score and the account you have open. There's what's called trending data and things like that. What we would use that report to actually run our underwriting software to grant you an approval. But when we run that underwriting software, we have to basically log in through a credit software that's registered in there to process it. So we wouldn't be able to use an outside third-party credit report.
Oh, no, it's from the credit bureau itself. My next question is, what is your recommendation of consolidation? Because this debt to ratio,
Sure, I gotcha. It's so with debt to income ratio, guys, basically on certain products, there's different restrictions. So on conventional, typically 49% is your max debt to income ratio, meaning half of your gross monthly income can go towards housing payment for the new home and current debts. FHA goes to 56.9%, so basically 57% of your new housing and then current debts of your gross monthly income. As far as consolidating, it's a great option because it can if your minimum, because keep in mind when you're qualifying for a loan, they're going to use minimum required payments. So if your minimum payment for your credit card is only $25, but the balance is a little bit higher than what you're comfortable with, it might be better off just keeping it like that because of the minimum payment. That's how we're going to qualify you, opposed to getting a personal loan for a 10-year period that might have a higher payment. Usually you'll get a lower payment if you're paying large balances off because the minimum payments are higher, and of course the interest is lower, so in the end you'll save money. But also keep in mind, if you're gonna open something like that, some consolidation companies will require you to close out those cards, which will affect your credit, and then you're gonna open a new account, which is gonna affect your credit. So do keep that in mind,
Okay.
okay? But, great questions though, thank you. Any other questions in the meantime? Yep,
Just real quick while I'm thinking about that
Sure.
loan, debt to income is gross income, correct?
that's correct, yeah, before tax,
Yeah.
you got it, yep. Alright, perfect. Alright, do's and don'ts. Gather documents. So basically, have everything ready to rock and roll and ready to buy a home. You're going to want to look for previous 2-year taxes, most recent 2 months bank statements, last month's pay stubs, driver's license, and social essentially is all you're going to need. Usually with technology now, we all have it readily available at all times. Save as much money as you possibly can. Just because your down payment, let's say, for example, is $5,000 for easy math, doesn't mean you're only going to need $5,000 for the home, okay? You're going to have a down payment. There's also closing costs involved, which usually can be about 3 or 3.5% of what you buy. Okay. You're also going to have costs for upfront, like inspection. You're going to put a deposit down on the home. You got to order an appraisal. If your home is in a flood zone, you might need flood insurance. That's due up front before closing. So things like that. So do keep that in mind. Okay. So save as much as you possibly can. Do not make large cash deposits in your accounts. Banks do not like that. Okay, they will question them. If you can't provide a paper trail where they came from, they will back it out of your available balance. Okay, even if you've spent it already.
But you can't get it like a gift letter or something like
You
that.
could get a gift, that's correct. So you can get a gift from family, or the guidelines actually family or a close friend, which is very hard to document a close friend. But family essentially could gift you money, but even with that, still has to be a paper trail. If Grandpa Bob has a drawer full of cash and he wants to just give you 10 grand cash, that's not going to work. They back that out as well. Okay. Keep your current address. Basically, make sure your documents, everything matches where you live, because we're going to have your application. Everything has to kind of coincide. So if you provide an address and say, you don't need to give my parents' address because I'm constantly hopping around different places. It's important because they're going to point those things out and go, well, how come your current address doesn't match your taxes or your driver's license or your pay stubs? And it's more questions to answer during the process. If you do expect to receive any large deposits, what Rick was mentioning about gift deposits, let us know so we can guide you on how to properly document it. If you're going to change or quit jobs, it's okay essentially to start a new job before you move forward with the home purchase. But again, consult with your loan professional because different products have different requirements. Okay? No big purchases. Don't go buy furniture yet. Don't buy appliances yet. It's super exciting when you're buying a new home. But wait until you have the keys to do stuff like that, okay? Don't overuse credit cards in case there is a credit pull that's necessary during the loan process. Typically there's not, but if we have to, let's say you disputed an account and we have to remove it, it will pull a new report after you remove it, and if you round up your credit cards, it'll show higher balances and it can affect your score and your debt to incomes, okay? And then don't leave. You'd be surprised how many people go out of town in the loan process. There'll be documents that are needed from you, so take vacation after. All right, and that's me. That's probably like a 5-year-old headshot. I definitely a few pounds since, but I gotta get a new one. But anyways, I left my card on all of the vouchers in the little cups I gave you guys. On those vouchers, I basically gave you guys a coupon, you can say, for an appraisal rebate. So essentially, if you use us for financing, we'll reimburse you for your appraisal at closing just for showing up today. Okay?
Nice.
All right, and listening to me ramble on for a while. All right, so you guys, any questions before you bring in the next speaker? Cool? Good? All right, sweet. Cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, rent versus owning. I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory slide. So far, it's throwing your money away when you rent. You're paying someone else each month. No equity, gained over time. Versus owning, where you pay yourself in equity each month, consistently monthly. Benefits of a buyer brokerage, and I just popped this one up just because for time. Consultant versus a salesperson. Nobody wants to be pressured into a purchase, which is why we educate you and help you make decisions instead of selling. So what this means is primarily we can do both sides of the service. We can help you with the buy side, and we can also help you with the sell side. Obviously, a lot of this is on first-time home buyers, so a lot of this doesn't apply. But so far as our services are free to you as a buyer's agent, You don't pay us to help you find your next home. We get paid by the seller. So obviously when you do decide to sell your home, then yes, you would actually pay on the sell side. We wanna know as much about the seller's motivation as we do yours. So as your agent, we're gonna also find out where are they going? Have they purchased a home? Is there a reason why they're moving that could be beneficial for you, the buyer, to potentially beat them up even more on price, right? So if they've got 2 mortgages, obviously that is not something they want. They're gonna wanna sell, there's gonna be a little bit more motivation there. It's our job as your agent to make sure we do our homework to get you the best price for the home. Speed, a minute we can, obviously, a minute, 5 minutes. Speed, as we say, speed to lead, but speed to the property. So we're making phone calls to the listing agent. We're seeing if there's any action on the property. We're making sure, are there any offers coming? And what does that look like? And then we don't want you to walk through the home, come out and go, man, we love it. And then we make the call, and all of a sudden we realize the home's gone. That's the last thing I want you to do, open a Christmas present you can't keep. As I mentioned, our accessibility, we are 24/7. And then knowledge. I'm fortunate again to have knowledgeable real estate agents on my team. We do this day in and day out. We're full-time. We can answer a question, and if we can't, we will get you the answer. We're fortunate again to be part of Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the #1 real estate agency in the world. I can state that. I can show you where that says that, but I won't. So realtor is the center of the business. Typical business model is, as a realtor, for sellers, we market, we do flyers, postcards, websites, as you saw when you came in. We prospect, we do cold calls, buyers for follow-up, negotiating. We do showings, which we'll be taking you out and show you the properties. Sellers, we'll do the same thing with follow-up, negotiating, signs, we put lock boxes on, all of that good stuff. Research. We talk about the homes, the market of the homes, we do CMAs, things of that nature. And then the closings, we'll coordinate the closing times, all the paperwork to follow up, having an amazing lender, inspection company, home insurance, all the communication with a warranty company. These guys all add into it. I know we're gonna head into the inspection next, but I wanna just tell you, you are the center of our business, okay? And our business model is this, as it slowly comes in. So, you have a realtor, your loan officer, your inspection, your insurance agent, your title company, and then we work under a broker license. So even though we are real estate agents, some agents are brokers, we actually are under a broker. So when we write offers, whenever we submit contracts, we actually are writing them on behalf of Keller Williams as the broker. We are a transaction agent for the most part, where we actually handle the transaction on your behalf. Okay? Any questions about this? Okay. So shopping for your home, we kind of talked about this. We want to find out your home that fits as much as your criteria as possible, especially if you plan on staying there for a while. So lease concessions, what does that look like? I always say to my buyers, we want to keep our offers clean. A clean offer. We're not asking for a bunch of closing costs. We're not asking, for a lot of repairs, things of that nature. We will, but sometimes it will make your offer harder and a little less strong when you're up against multiple offer situations. But we're also looking at resale potential. They say you'll buy 5 homes in your lifetime, maybe. That's the formula. So we want you to come back to us. We're gonna do a great job and we're gonna help you find that next home. And I say it's your next home, it is not your last home. So we want you to come back. So the resale value is gonna be important. Where we find your home, it's gonna be important where it is. So schools are gonna be important, community is gonna be important, and resale value. And then we not only work with residential, but we also work with investments. So in properties. So if you're looking to get into the investment side of the business, we can help you and try to get you the highest investment potential. I threw this slide in here because we don't want you to not come to us for sale by owners. If you're driving around and you see a for sale by owner, call your agent. Let them know, hey, I just saw this sign. to for sale by owner. For sale by owners, obviously, they'll pay us a commission. We'll negotiate that. That's on us as your agent. We do not want you not to get the home if it's a possibility. And a lot of times, for sale by owners, they don't understand some of the expenses and some of the costs they're gonna incur, where we can actually, as an agent, handling potentially both sides of the transaction on your behalf as a buyer's agent. And then, new construction. There is a myth that we can't help on new construction. That's wrong. So if you walk into a new construction, what we would ask is that once you've aligned yourself with an agent, that you tell your agent, let your agent go with you. Builders today will not work with the agent if they're not standing next to you. There are some builders that said, no problem, we'll work with you. Here's your agent's name, write it down, and we can then work on your behalf to negotiate incentives, potentially closing costs. A lot of new builders now have some major incentives where they'll pay all your closing costs. I was fortunate to work with Eddie on his new build, and we got all his closing costs. Now, again, so far as working with a lender, they can do that too. With a resale, they can work with that based on the whole transaction. But builder will pay all those fees, and we can go and look at those just like a resale product, okay? Offers and negotiation, 4 parts to working an offer: purchase agreement, earnest money, inspection, and appraisal. I'm gonna kind of fly by these. Purchase agreement, so initial offer, we're gonna put that on your behalf. We're gonna look for a seller's disclosure. We're gonna ask about financing contingencies, which Nick kind of talked about, the appraisal contingency. There are 3 types of contingencies. There's the inspection contingency, which normally is a minimum of about 10 days. There's an appraisal contingency, and then there's the loan contingency. So we wanna pay attention to those contingencies. Once you put that escrow in, and we'll talk about that, we're gonna make sure we never lose your escrow. However, if on the 11th day you decide you no longer want the home, I can't protect your escrow anymore. So obviously talking to your agent, staying in touch, knowing what those timelines are that are important to make sure we never lose your escrow. Earnest money, I think Nick tapped on it. It's 1% or 1 to 2% of your purchase price. So on a $200,000 house, obviously it's about $2 grand. However, when we go into a multi-offer situation, sometimes increasing the earnest money actually makes your offer stronger. It's your money, it comes back to you at closing. So it's not something that you're using and you lose it. The only reason you lose it if you don't listen to us when it comes to those timelines, and unfortunately we get past certain things like inspection, contingency, appraisal, or loan. It's deposited with a title company, as we talked about, and it is a neutral party. So they just hold the money, and it's good faith. And then the inspection. And this is where I'm gonna bring up a really good friend of mine, Alberto Cruz with GoPro Inspections. Talk up.
Alright, my name is Alberto Cruz, I'm with GoPro Home Inspections. We're a home inspection company out of Central Florida. We've been around now 6 years. Last year we completed a total of 1,600 home inspections. We're realtors here in Central Florida. We are all licensed, insured.
The right button.
Alright, so the first question is, what is a home inspection? Alright, a home inspection pretty much is an evaluation of a property, and we let you know everything from when it was built, what is it made out of, the construction supplies that were used to build it, from the plumbing, the AC, electric, the roof, insulation, are the bathrooms vented, are they not vented, what are the floors made out of, were they installed correctly, carpet, vinyl, laminate, wood. We say every home is as unique as a fingerprint, alright? When was it made, how was it made, how many people lived in it, how was it maintained throughout the years. I've done houses from the 50s that you can't find a hairline crack. I've done houses from 2010 where you pretty much have to rebuild it. You know, it all depends on how it's built and how it's maintained. Okay? The purpose for a home inspection is to understand the current condition of the home before buying it. With the home inspection, you can negotiate price, repairs, or at least have that honey-do list once you move in, and to take care of all the things that is mentioned in the report. Make sure you soon as your contract gets accepted, your inspection period starts, alright? Depending how long that inspection period is how attractive your offer is to that seller. Alright, granted, you don't want a 1-3 day inspection period. Whenever that happens, it's typically cash buyers who are investors, and they're like, bro, tell me all the bad things real quick. We can put in the negotiations and keep moving. If it's up for you to live in personally, you want to have those 5 to 10 days that are what is average on most transactions, because as soon as the inspection happens, so let's say it's Monday, you saw a house, you loved it. You told Rick, hey Rick, put in the offer, it gets accepted that same night, perfect. You can contact, we're 24/7 as well, contact my admin. She's on cell phone or even on the web. You can schedule for the inspection, and then let's say we get out there Tuesday, Wednesday, so you're already on day 3 of your 5 to 10 days. And then from there, let's say the roof is bad, we'll always recommend for it to be evaluated by a licensed contractor. Alright, so if the roof was built, let's say 2003, right? It's a 3-tab shingles, last 10 and 15 years in Florida. So we're in 2020, right? So it's already past its lifespan. We're gonna say, hey, this roof, if it has leaks, that's just more evidence to say this roof needs to be replaced, right? Once a contractor goes out there, they'll give you the exact price as to what it will cost to replace it. Then all that then gets sent over to Rick. Rick sends it to the seller, and that's how negotiations kind of go around and around. Okay. All right. There's different types of inspections. All right. The most popular is the pre-buying inspection, so that's for all of you who are purchasing a home. Okay. The pre-listing is before the house goes on the market. Sellers will contact us and say, hey, we want to be completely transparent through the process. We want to know what's wrong with the house, so that way the new owners who are moving in don't have to deal with the issues or concerns, and that way they don't have to be also going through negotiations, repairs. They can get that all handled before they put the house on the market, so that way it's just a real smooth process. And a lot of times people also do it just to show off that their house is perfect. They'll say, look, we have this report already, rather you want to waste your money and get an inspection for yourself, in a sense. You can do that, but we already have this inspection report ready by a licensed home inspector, and it's up to you rather if you want to hire your own inspector or not. So, and that's more for the sellers. Then we have wind mitigation and 4-point. Those are 2 inspections that are for insurance only, okay? The 4-point inspection is for homes that are older than 25 years. So if a home is built before from 96 down, we always include it in our pricing, because you're gonna need it. And what that does is it tells the insurance company all the updates that were done to the home since it was built. And the 4 points are roof, electric, AC, and plumbing. Okay? There are a lot of products that came out since the 50s moving forward that have been discontinued. For example, aluminum wiring, FPE panels, polybutylene piping. We'll go a little bit into it. But as soon as we see those materials, it's pretty much, red flags. Alright, so if it has polybutylene, all the piping inside the home has to be replaced. That can range anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000 depending on who you know, and that's where the negotiations kind of start. All right. The wind mitigation, that's also for your insurance, and what that does is it tells the insurance company how much wind the household can hold in case of a hurricane. So depending the shape of the roof, when was that roof replaced, what kind of material, is it a tile roof, shingle, built up? How is that roof held onto the walls? Is it held on by clips, straps, or just toenails? What kind of nails they use to hold the roof down to the trusses? So those criteria will give you an all-around credit towards your insurance. And I've seen people save $500 to $700 a year off of that report, and that helps a lot with that debt to income ratio. A lot of times, whenever you're like by a little bit, your numbers aren't reaching. A lot of times, can I get a wind mitigation real quick? I'll get a wind mitigation done, and I'll bring your actual house mortgage payments down. Okay. I'm sorry. And then the last for lead-based paint for houses before 1978. Okay. All right, and this is what we inspect. We inspect everything. All right, the structure, roof, exterior, interior, foundation, plumbing, air conditioning, water heater, electrical, attics, installation includes. All right. Anything that is in not new condition can be put on the report, so that we can negotiate, like I said, repairs, costs, or at least you know what's wrong before you move in. Okay? types of homes. Like I said, every home is different. People ask me, what are some common things you find in homes? I mean, it really is, every house is a surprise. Sometimes you find nothing, sometimes you find everything. It really just depends on the home. Okay? And this just comes as far as part of for the insurance, as I was telling you. Different shapes give you credit, alright? Gables don't give you credit, hip roofs give you credit, flat roofs as well. Just because the way the wind hits it, it won't blow your roof off like this. The things like that we look at whenever we do our home inspection as well. Okay, plumbing. Every material has a lifespan, maintenance, whether they were problematic or not. Whenever we find, like I said, polybutylene piping, it's gray flexible piping that was installed from 85 to 96. So if you're buying a home in that year range, it's one of the first things kind of we look at when we're doing the inspection. Make sure that if it has poly, that they repiped it. And sometimes they'll do only certain sections that were problematic. So you have poly in the kitchen, but you have PVC in the bathrooms. So we'll make sure and we look at all the fixtures to make sure that if it was all repiped, it was done right. Alright, galvanized steel. Galvanized steel has to also be repiped. Copper has a lifespan of 70 years. Alright, so houses built those 56s already getting towards the end of their lifespan as well. We're not seeing too many copper people installing copper in new homes now. CPVC is pretty much taking over, and PEX piping. Alright, this is the poly we're talking about. Like I said, things that are red flags for the insurance. FPE panels also are flagged, and that's from the 70s to late 80s. So FPE panels on the exterior and the interior of the home, if it's there, we recommend to be replaced. This is just for older homes. Okay. As far as the inspection report, we always send it within 24 hours. Our inspection reports are full of pictures, on average about 100. We take pictures of the exterior, the interior, the roof, attics, installations, the appliance. Everything that we looked at is in the report, and everything that is not working as it should or has any concerns or issues, we'll put it with red arrows, red circles, a good description, and it gives you at the end a summary that you can literally check off the things that are important to you. You can send just that over to Rick, and it comes in a PDF form so that we can also send it straight to the sellers as well. It's very user friendly as far as for the reports. Like I said, it's just used for negotiating for repairs or price. As far as costs, for inspections, they range. Different inspectors charge different based off their experience, how long have they been in the business, and things and so forth. It ranges anywhere between $300 to $500 depending on the size of the home and who you call. Wind mitigations and 4 points are typically extra for depending on if the house is older or not. We always include the wind mitigations. The 4 points is depending on the age of the home. Okay. And that's pretty much the end of my presentation. Is there any questions pertaining to home inspections? Alright. This is just the price. Alright, so it's based off of square feet, and this is my price list. So a home, 2,000 to 2,000 square feet, be $350. Termite inspections, we always recommend them, especially for homes that are made out of wood frame. They say in areas or communities, there's always somewhere where there's termites, and if you're protected, then they'll just go to your neighbor's house. That's what they say. Alright.
Okay.
I got a quick one.
Thank you, Alberto.
What is the wind mitigation?
Alright, the wind mitigation is for the insurance, and it tells the insurance company how much wind the house holds in case of a hurricane. So depending how the roof shape is, how that roof held to the walls, the nails, it gives them a certain score, and that's what it gives them credit on the insurance.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Yeah, so what Alberto was mentioning so far is on the inspection report, we always say, we don't ask for our cake and eat it too. So if we're beating the seller up on price for you, and you can get the home for 10, maybe 15,000 below list price, and then we're gonna turn around and come back and ask for a new roof, unlikely that will happen. So we kind of pick our battles, right? However, as your agent, our job is to already be looking at that seller's disclosure, already kind of have an idea before we walk in the home how old the roof is. Is there polybutylene? Because I don't know, Alberto, if you mentioned it or not, but obviously polybutylene is just one of the worst piping. There's a reason for why they don't do them anymore, because they split, whatever that is. And that's the first thing as a flag goes up that we're going to go after the seller for. Most listing agents already have an idea that there's polybutylene. It will usually be in the realtor remarks, but they'll also say, seller's not fixing that. Repiping a home of 2,000 square feet is gonna cost you about 4,500, maybe $5,000 to do the CPVC, right? We'll ask for a seller credit, but we can't if we've already asked for 15,000 off. So it's kinda like, if you know that it has poly, and you want them to obviously replace that, we can ask for the seller credit, but just realize they may decline it if you've already gone under contract and you're getting additional monies. Same with the roof. And I know that, we'll probably talk about it with Eddie, here's gonna come up in a minute, but, there are conditions, like, for an FHA loan, you have certain guidelines. A roof can only have, what, 3 years of life?
It all comes down to what the appraiser says.
Right. So, and when we go into appraisal, obviously appraisal is based on what the, appraisal is an interpretation of some individual that goes into the home, right? Obviously, they're gonna pull comparables, they're gonna look at the comps, but we're gonna do that as well, right? So we're gonna make sure that before we put a price in, I know a lot of times you'll ask your agent, well, what do you think it's worth? So we'll have done those a lot of times before we actually show you the property, or we'll have a conversation while we're in the property. Here's what I would suggest, right? But we'll put whatever offering you ask us to, knowing that we might get laughed at by the listing agent. They may say, what are you doing? And there's 3 things that the listing agent's gonna do, or the seller's gonna do. They're gonna reject it, they're gonna counter it, or they'll accept it. So, and it depends on their motivation and what their situation is. So, home appraisal, who pays for it? Well, you don't, if you end up using Nick as a preferred lender. They are average about $500. So he just gave you, I think, 5 1/4. Is that what that says?
Up to, yeah,
Up
whatever
to.
it costs, whatever you
Yeah.
pay, we'll reimburse you.
Okay, when it's paid, usually once we go under contract, the appraisal is ordered immediately. Cause it can take a little while, especially with VAs,
7
it
to 10
takes
days,
7 to 10 days. So we wanna make sure that that's ordered right away. And it's usually ordered about the same time you're doing your inspection. So right now I'm gonna bring Eddie Wassinger, who's with, We Insure, to talk about home insurance. Oh, my bad. There you go. You're up.
Well, like I said, my name is Edwin Wassinger. I just want to say thanks to Brown Home Group for having me over.
Absolutely.
I think Alberto did his job so well going for home inspections that I think I don't need to really talk about anything. So, no, I'll try to address as much as I can as far as what we're looking at on the insurance side. We're going to dive into real quick on a little bit of wind mitigation as well as the 4-point inspection and a little bit of flood insurance as well. Just a little bit about my agency. I've been in the insurance industry for 10 years. Started off on the claim side and then worked over to the sales side. We represent over 100 companies. We do auto, home, term life insurance as well as commercial. But we represent over 30 homeowners companies. So we have all the options to kind of get you through some of those scenarios as we address with the 4-point inspection. So. All right, so again, the types of wind mitigation, or types of inspections we're looking at, specific to the wind mitigation inspection, that has to do with premium bearing inspections. So as Alberto said, it's gonna basically go into the integrity of the roof and how much resistance the home can hold against, the hurricanes, or even a large windstorm like we had a couple days ago. 4-point inspection goes into eligibility, looking at AC, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, AC, plumbing, and roof. And then also elevation certificates have to do with flood zones. So we'll dive into a little bit of that. So again, the wind mitigation inspection is the only premium bearing home inspection when it comes to insurance. I typically advise wind mitigation inspections for homes that are built prior to 2002. The reason for that, in 2002 there was new Florida building code that required certain attachments on the roof. So once you get 2002 and newer, the insurance companies automatically give you a large amount of credits. So I typically don't advise doing that unless you are right on the coast. And again, just factors, there's about 5 different components we look at in a wind mitigation inspection. There's roof to deck attachments, there's roof to wall attachments, there's something called secondary water resistance, and there's also hurricane protection, which has to do about all the surrounding openings in the home. Could be windows, could be garage, and doors as well. Again, just a recap on roof pitches, as Alberto addressed, gable features are more of a V feature. You don't get as well as a premium discount as you would such as a hip. And then a flat roof, obviously, I would not recommend a wind mitigation inspection in this situation. A lot of times there's limited roof access, and also they don't use the same attachments as they do on other roofs. One thing also when looking at insurance is flat roofs typically have a lower lifespan than I would say an architectural or 3-tab shingle roof. Typically, most insurance companies want to see up to 15 years on or up to 20 on an architectural roof, and 15 years on a 3-tab. On a rolled roof, which is more like a flat roof, we typically look up to 10 years is what a lot of companies want to see. If you're looking at any kind of clay or concrete tile roofs, those can typically go up to 30, and some companies don't have any requirements as far as the age on the tile roofs. And as we kind of just keep going through, roof, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, we're going to dive into some of the real quick issues that we typically run into. I've heard of the polybutyl scenario. Very prevalent between 85 and 95. Most companies will not insure this type of plumbing. However, there are exceptions. There are a few companies out there that will exclude water damage coverage and still write the insurance if it's something that the seller is not willing to negotiate. There is also another company out there that will offer up to $10,000 in water damage coverage in the event of a polybutylene plumbing scenario. Some other issues that we typically see with older homes that vary between the 40s and 70s range is when you look at electrical, we're looking at Federal Pacific panels. There are companies that do accept these types of panels. Depending on if the seller is not willing to negotiate it, you can write the insurance companies. Obviously, I always do recommend replacing it. However, there are options out there for you. Some other issues with electrical wiring could be double taps. Basically, 2 wires going into the same circuit breaker. I've also seen mixture of copper and aluminum wirings. There's also cloth wiring and fuse panel boxes that are also issues for most companies. Some common misconceptions when it comes to home insurance. All homes are flood zones, so I would basically say that just because you're not in a high-risk flood zone, that doesn't mean a flood couldn't occur. They typically say, I think the national statistic is about 30% of homes that are not in high-risk flood zones end up due flooding. So it is relatively inexpensive to get flood insurance if you're not in a high-risk flood zone. So if you want any quotes, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to help out. Another common misconception is my dwelling coverage does not match my purchase price. It's very common that we see this question occur. We only care about insuring the structure itself and the cost to remove the debris. We're not insuring the land, nor are we buying the land from you in that scenario of a total event or total loss. So, we obviously want to factor about $150 per square foot to calculate the dwelling coverage or determine dwelling coverage for your average builder's grade home. Some other misconceptions: jewelry, guns, and furs are typically limited or very limited as far as coverage goes. So if you have a high value ring or a necklace or a watch, you want to get an appraisal in the last 2 years, and typically add that to the home insurance policy. Another thing is your all other peril and hurricane deductibles typically vary. Not always the case. You can get matching deductibles. However, most companies will offer a 2% hurricane deductible, which is 2% based off your dwelling coverage, which is a lot higher than your traditional $1,000 or $2,500 AOP deductible, which is your all other peril deductible. One thing with wear and tear and old age, we want to make sure that the roof's not worn. If you have a house that you're purchasing, roof's 20 years old, inspection shows that it's got some life left. You get through the closing and then you start to have damage. Well, we had to see a sudden event, an event that we could not foresee that has occurred in order for that to be covered. So typically, wear and tear and old age is not really going to be something insurance is going to be for, so keep that in mind. And then lastly, sinkhole coverage. Not all companies are going to offer sinkhole coverage. So we just got to make sure that the company's either quoting it or this process to get sinkhole coverage. Typically, a sinkhole inspection is required. It costs about $150 to the buyer. If you get approved for the inspection, then the insurance companies will add it after the purchase. And I do believe that's about it. Oh wait, we got one more. Flood options. There are 2 different flood options. We're looking at flood coverage. The NFIP is a national flood insurance program. That's backed by the government. It's backed by FEMA. You can get rates through there. You can also get rates through the private market through some private flood insurance carriers. If you are in a high-risk flood zone, the elevation certificate is really going to determine what the rate is going to be when it comes to flood insurance. Does anyone have any questions? Appreciate your time, and if you have any questions, get in contact with me.
Thanks, Ed. Okay, so we're gonna move right along, and I'm gonna bring up Donna Thacker, who's with 210 Home Warranty, to talk about, once you purchase your home, getting it protected.
Hey guys, before I do this, is everybody falling asleep yet? Yeah.
Wait, what?
I know you guys have heard of Fun Donna, so there's some chocolate. Just to give you guys a little bit about me, I am a referral agent in the state of Florida, so I sit on both sides of the fence, if you will. I understand how crazy it is to buy a house. You probably thought, hey, let's just go hang out Saturday and find out how to get a house, right? There's so much that goes into it. You just don't know everything. And before I get started, how many of you have ever thought of a home warranty, or have you had experience with a home warranty? Nope. Okay, good. I always like to know my audience before I talk to them. So the one on the right here, guys.
Yep.
All right. So obviously we talked about insurance, inspections, and so on and so forth. The home warranty is another component of that. You guys all have a folder here. You don't have to pull everything out, but if you'd like to, there's some information in here that I'm going to talk about in this sales agreement. But a home warranty isn't an insurance policy. Obviously, you have an insurance guy for that. It is not a home inspection. That is done during the process of the purchase process. It's not a flood insurance policy, and it's not a golden ticket. So many people think it's bumper to bumper. Everything's covered. Well, come on, really? I mean, that's not the case in life at all. When you open up this sales agreement to the Staples, one of the things that makes us different than the other companies is we actually put what we exclude. Being a referral agent, I worked with this company prior to selling this product, and I came to find that we cover 97.5% of all of our claims. I'm not here to show you something and say, sorry, we're not gonna cover it. Every house is different. You guys have heard so much already today. I can't, tell anybody, yeah, we'll cover that, yeah, we won't cover that. Every scenario is different, but we look at the source, and we err on repair and then replace, but we don't run from it. And we put what's excluded in our policy here. So a home warranty isn't a golden ticket. What it is, it's a residential service agreement that is designed to provide buyers or sellers financial assistance towards costly repairs or replacements of a home's common systems and appliances that break down due to failure, normal wear and tear. If Uncle Bob's up there hanging Christmas lights and falls through the roof, we don't cover that. That's an insurance thing. If your roof inspection reveals that you've got limited life, but yet it's still in good shape, if you should get a leak, then we do cover that. And we do have dollar limits, but it is all listed in here. We do cover polybutylene. Not everybody does, up to $1,000. So if you find the house that you love and it's got that piping in it, and you're thinking, you know what? What's it gonna look like if we have to repipe it? Home warranty will help mitigate some of that cost. We cover the core and mechanical functioning parts of systems and appliances that are in good working order. What I want to caution you guys as new buyers, please help me out if you disagree with me here, but a lot of times I've worked with other agents and they want to, hey, the seller doesn't want to make this repair, we're going to ask them for a home warranty instead. I would recommend against that, because what that is like the car's already wrecked. Don't go get insurance on it now. So I can't tell you how many people have thought, well, they gave us a home warranty, why isn't it going to cover it? Well, it was broke before closing. So be aware as you're buying a home, don't always accept that. Let your realtor be your guide on that, but that's not the golden ticket you're looking for. My information is on the front of the, in the binder as well, sometimes it's on the front of these as well. I am here as a team to work with you guys. Your realtors are amazing, but you're welcome to call me as well. Always go to your realtor first, but if you have a question about the warranty specifically, call me. I work on Saturdays, clearly. One of the things about 210, you probably wonder what the name is about. We also work with new construction. A lot of builders have our 2-year, 10-year coverage, and we also work in these scenarios with HUD requires warranty on new construction homes. So if you're working with a builder and that builder doesn't have a 210 warranty as part of their package, we can get them signed up to be a new construction builder under our guidelines here. Does that make sense, guys? Because there's new construction and then resale. So we work with both. And we were the first company to ever do that, by the way. So what's eligible for coverage? Heating, air conditioning, appliances, plumbing, electrical, other systems as options. Those would be your pools, your septics, you know, if you have a freestanding freezer or an additional wine cooler, that kind of stuff, we'll cover that. And that's all listed in the back as well. This is our pricing. We also, if you get to the place you wanna sell a home, we have seller's coverage. We'll put it out on the sign that, you know, it's covered during the listing period. But the person or the people that can pay for the warranty can be a few different scenarios. You guys as buyers can pay for it at closing. It can be part of your lending package. I don't know if they're the lenders and the realtors under the bus in the room here, but sometimes there's money left in a deal and the lender can go ahead and put money toward your home warranty. You just have to ask. Sometimes your realtor will do that as a gift to you. So just be sure to, you know, negotiate a warranty in your deal in some form or fashion if you're not gonna be the one to pay for it. I would recommend making sure you have one, and for the first year especially. Every time you have to call somebody out, it's a $100 service fee. If we have to come out a second time for the same reason, you obviously have to pay that contractor to come back out. He likes to get paid. But if they find that it's the same thing and didn't get fixed the first time, we give you your money back. I don't know how many other people do that. We try to get it right. I won't talk about seller's coverage per se, you guys are buyers, but we do offer that. What's in it for you? Obviously, to mitigate costs, you guys have a flyer in your folder, what the benefit is to the buyer. You guys will save money. It will save you a lot of money. When you're buying a house, you wanna actually decorate it. You might wanna buy new furniture. You just paid a bunch of money in closing costs. Go ahead.
You're talking about a service fee when they come out, but that doesn't include like cost of materials to fix a certain thing, or is it included in the service fee?
The service fee is $100 when they come out,
Okay.
and as long as what is broken is under our covered product, then you don't pay any additional.
So materials to repair a certain
Correct.
thing, as long as it's covered,
Correct.
are included in the $100.
Correct. But it does, you need to always look at what's excluded, because again, we don't know until you get out there and diagnose and detect it. What I would say is the supreme coverage obviously is the reason why we have a supreme coverage. Modifications and code violations, one of the things you're gonna find with HVAC systems especially is sometimes they'll come out and they'll make a modification or do something and it's not, inspectors can talk to this. They've just put things together that shouldn't be together. You wanna make sure that you have coverage in that realm too, because code violations and modifications are not part of our standard coverage, but we do offer that option under the Supreme in case there is something put together incorrectly.
You cover the AC if the air handler is older than the inside unit?
Age doesn't matter.
Okay.
In the only place in life, age doesn't matter. But what we also do, and this is what sets us apart, if you wanna know what makes 210 Home Buyers Warranty different than the other competitors we have, this home icon down at the bottom of this sales agreement, if you look up the line there and just see what's different. But the big thing is unlimited refrigerants and SEER matching. So to your question there, if the energy efficiency doesn't match, you can't put a Chevy engine in a Ferrari, it's gonna pull on one of the units. We match those systems. So if you've got a system in the inside of the house that breaks, has to be replaced, we match that energy efficiency to that outside unit. Because how many times have you heard, well, we just had it fixed, now the other one broke? Well, it's probably because they didn't match it up.
Right.
The unlimited refrigerants, some companies will charge you per pound for Freon. I mean, obviously you need cooling in Florida. So up to a certain amount they'll replace, but then after a certain amount they're gonna charge you. And that could be anywhere from $500 to $1,000 or more dollars, I've heard. We have unlimited. But I'm gonna say this, as a HVAC rule and as an agent prior to working the 210, when you're doing a home inspection, help me out here, you guys aren't really technically allowed to open up the unit. You just check for what's cooling coming out of the vent. I would encourage you, and this was my benchmark, anything 5 years or older, have a specific HVAC contractor come out, open up the unit, look at the coils, look at the blower, check it out, and make sure that there's nothing pre-existing behind that case, because you just don't know until you look at it. And these are things your realtors will, guide you on, but just be aware there is a lot of hidden things that are pre-existing. Just like when you buy a car, if you don't have your mechanic check it out, you're gonna find things later, and then you realize that it should have been caught you walk in the house and that vent is dirty, I'm gonna tell you, you probably need to look at some, some deeper dives on that. But basically, this is just to save you money, because you don't wanna be spending money after you move in when the garage door comes apart, or the HVAC fails, or the dishwasher doesn't drain. You know, you wanna be able to call your realtor, call me, call 210 corporate and get it covered. Go ahead.
To go back to the HVAC
Yep.
example that you were talking about, so if a technician, say it breaks down,
Mhm.
and a technician comes out and says, oh, well, I can't repair this, you have to buy a new AC.
Mhm.
Or does this warranty cover, parts up to a certain price value? Because if he says, oh, you have to replace 5 out of the 10 components in here, it's too much, we're not gonna cover it.
Right.
Versus, hey, you just gotta replace it, you know, like, and then you get another technician that says, oh, well, you can just do this, it's gonna cost you $100 in parts. So like, how does that, you know,
Okay.
it's kind of subjective in that
Sure.
sense.
Yeah, well, what we do, let's go to the technician first of all. We
Okay.
have a vendor, or contractor network team,
Okay.
and we vet our contractors. Granted, they hire new people every day, and they may not get their A-game guy out there that time, but if you ever have a discrepancy, or you just don't get the warm fuzzies with them,
Mhm.
you call a realtor or call me, and we'll send somebody else out there. But we have a team. You're only as good as your team, which is why we're all here today.
Mhm.
So if somebody comes out and you don't feel like they're giving you a straight answer, you pick up the phone and you call me. And then I will make sure that we get somebody out there that you do have confidence in. And then if they recommend to repair it, then okay, fine. They've done their due diligence and we repair it. If there's more wrong with it than what they deem efficient, and they'll go ahead and recommend that it be replaced. I think your original question is there a dollar limit up to a certain amount or whatever?
Correct.
In certain systems there are, like for HVAC, if it's a geothermal system, it is maxed out at 1,500. If it's just your normal, you know, I used to live in Titusville, so if it's just your normal 1980 house in Titusville with an HVAC system, and it needs to be replaced because it's, you know, failing due to wear and tear, then it's repaired and replaced.
Okay.
You get a new one, and they match it to the outside unit, which not everybody does that. So again, the dollar limits are in each category.
Okay.
You just open it up to the Staples. One other thing you guys get as a buyer, it's in here. Nope, I'll back it up. One other thing you guys get, as a buyer is, Happy Home Lock and Hardware. Typically, when you buy a house, you're gonna change the locks, hopefully, right? So what happens is you're gonna call a locksmith, or you're gonna go to Home Depot, and you're gonna change the locks, and we will give you guys up to $100 back. You just, no service call, no contract, or anything else. So that's $100 right off the bat. You guys get the chocolate back here. And that's all I have. Do you guys have any other questions? I mean, some of the inspectors and insurance guys back there, did you see or hear anything that
Yeah.
contradicted what you're used to?
Yeah, I had a scenario not maybe like a year ago, where the home warranty went out to look at the AC, and they didn't cover because the air handler ran off of R22, and then the one on the outside ran off of 410. So it was the whole efficiency then.
Well, and we will pay those code violations and modifications with this R22 conversion. We will convert and modify. That's part of our Supreme coverage.
Nice.
Not everybody does that, as you can probably, as you just stated. That
Yep.
company didn't. And that will save you money.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Appreciate
listening, you guys.
Okay, so we're gonna try to wrap this up. One thing just to tap on to the so far is the home warranty. In the buyer's offer, there is actually a place in the buyer's offer where we can request a home warranty on your behalf. And we can ask the seller to pay for it, okay? If we know the home's built 2010, or it's got all new roof, it's got new this, new appliances, whatever, and we know going into the home inspection that we're probably not gonna be asking for anything, I will ask for a home warranty. I will try to get you something, right? That's our job as your agent, for you to walk away being happy, and a home warranty, I have one myself, I highly recommend them. And they're about $500, $525, depending on, $465, yeah, whatever. So, covering appliances, you know, washer and dryer and all that good stuff, and then it's a little bit more expensive if you wanna cover, a pool, right? Pool's a little bit more, yeah?
Yes, saltwater, freshwater vary by, you know, obviously a saltwater's gonna be a little more expensive.
So the closing, right before the closing, once he gives you what we call a clear to close, you're gonna then wire funds. The funds actually go to the same place where you wired your escrow, that title company, okay? You're gonna receive something from your lender that's gonna tell you exactly through what they call a closing disclosure, exactly what you're gonna need to bring to the table. All your closing costs, all your lender fees,
Final payment,
final payment,
first payment date.
all of that good stuff. But we're not gonna do that until we get loan approval, and that's the clear to close. There is a law we have that it's 3 days that we have before we can close. So, you know, normally we have a set closing date, and before the closing date, 3 days prior to that is when you'll sign your closing disclosures. If for whatever reason we just kind of missed that by a day, then we have to move the closing date. What does that mean? That means as your agent, we've also got to send an addendum extending the closing date. So a lot of times closing will take anywhere from 30 to 45 days from the time we go under contract and execute the contract, as we call it. Both buyer and seller will sign the contract. We're now in that clock, what we talked about, 10 days on inspection period, all that good stuff. So loan approval, we get that done, we go to closing. Usually title companies require you to bring a photo ID, some require 2. With our team, we're gonna let you know whether it's 1, whether it's 2. We're gonna set the time up based on your schedule, if you have a work schedule. What I would say is on a closing day, we wanna pay attention to funding. So the seller signs, you actually close the deal, and then the money funds from the lender, and then also with your money that actually has been received through the wire. So we normally like to see about closing around no later than 3 p.m. because the banks start shutting down.
Yeah, there's wire cutoff times.
And normally we like to close on a Thursday or a Tuesday, because the weekend on Friday, if we were to sign and God forbid something happens, you don't get the keys. And that's ultimately our goal, is to give you those keys. So added value, and I'm just gonna toot our horn for Brown Home Group and Keller Williams, is the bonuses that you get. Obviously we're surrounded with a team of administration staff. I have amazing agents that are knowledgeable, can help you through the whole process. We're gonna give you a really nice closing gift. Just to say thank you, because you have a lot of choices when choosing a realtor. I mean, guys, we're like roaches out there, everywhere. So what differentiates us is time, our time to you, our communication, our customer service, and these individuals that I just introduced you to, who are going to help that buying process be smooth, seamless, and you're gonna come back to us in that 3 to 5 years and say, now it's time to sell the house, let's go find a bigger one, right? Or maybe you're downsizing, I don't know. However, some of the advantages that we offer is, we work with a lot of general contractors, we work with a lot of people. We work with different floor guys, I mean, roofers, you name it. We wanna be your one-stop shop, right? We have moving companies, so obviously when the time comes and you're ready, we have really great vendors that we work with on the moving side. We can help you with that. We're a family. When you close on your home with us, you become part of that family. We have all kinds of great events, things that go up throughout the year. We put you in a newsletter. We won't bug you, but we definitely want you to know how much we appreciate you. The home warranty, which we talked about, we'll negotiate a home warranty if it makes sense, and they always make sense. So, and then we're a lifetime resource. You know, there's gonna be a time where you might wanna refinance your home. Please call us. Talk to your lender. He can help you with that. We also work with ADT, a home security company. Most realtors get a kickback. They get a $300, $250 money that we can put in our pocket and say, thank you for using ADT. My team, we give it back to you. To say thank you for working with us. If you choose to put an alarm system in your house, we're gonna actually pay for $300, 6 months of service. Now sometimes you might want extra cameras, that's on you. So I always say, we have a guy. So if you need anything, whether it be a plumber, an AC, a general contractor, painter, roofer, and what have you, we have a guy. And, after you close, we're not gonna leave your side, okay? We do truly go above and beyond the sale. So thank you. Oh,
Forgot to mention,
man, it was such a great
and
ending.
you, and you, and you
You
throw,
killed it.
and you throw a phenomenal end of year party.
We do a client appreciation party. Actually, we're gonna be doing 2 this year. So our goal is to do 2 throughout the year. And, yep, where you get to come and obviously enjoy,
Great
beverages and food and
giveaways.
on the Brown Home Group. And all our vendors bring some amazing items, gifts, and we raffle those off for a chance to win. So that being said, because you guys are here today, we're actually gonna do a raffle right now for a chance to win. And, so if you look at your GoPro business card,
I'm gonna pass them out now.
oh, I'm gonna pass them out now.
I'm gonna pass them out.
So he's gonna hand you a card, and there is a star on one of those cards. And I don't know what it is. What are you giving?
It's $50 in Amazon.
So a $50 gift card to Amazon donated by GoPro Inspections. Is anybody else doing any of that? I didn't know if, Donnie, you're not doing something like that, are you?
Alright, so turn
Alright, did you get it? Nice, we'll make sure we get a picture. Congrats. Alright. Awesome. So, thank you guys. I mean, I hope this was informative. I'm gonna just open it up if you have any questions that we didn't hit on, before we close. Any questions, concerns? Did you guys feel like this was a good information gathering opportunity? I know for you, I know a lot of people are first time home buyers, so it is a scary situation, and definitely it's the largest investment that you're gonna make, unless you buy a car like Nick. Could be that. Just kidding. So anyway, any questions? Thank you so much for being here, we appreciate it.